remember there was like a half dream, half wake state. A dream where there was a bunch of women covered up and they were chanting, and it sounded off. It's not like spiritual, religious, not chanting in a higher order, like chanting of a lower vibrational kind of thing. And then I told them to shut up, go away, leave me alone. Yeah. Have you had any scary, spooky experiences?
I don't see, thank God. But yes, I have seen my dog react around me. Yeah, so it was quite obvious that something was happening, but I could not feel anything. I could not see anything. Yeah. So that was quite a scary experience. Yes.
Yeah, I think in a way that's worse, isn't it?
Yeah. So maybe I should just tell you what happened.
Yeah.
So this was many years ago when I used to go running in the evenings, and this was a Saturday evening, I remember. I would run along Yio Chu Kang Road. I don't know if you are familiar with that stretch. It's a very long road, and it's very, very lonely because there's like Jalan Kayu and Seletar Hills, and there's like just like forest or something. I don't know. I dare not really like look, where I'm running. I just look straight. Yeah. So I ran all the way there, and then I ran back. And I came back and opened my door. That back then I had a Shih Tzu. I didn't have cat. Yeah, I had this one Shih Tzu. And normally she would come and greet me, and she would do her yodel. Shih Tzus like to yodel. They go, and then like get really happy. So when I came home that evening, I opened the door. She saw me. She backed away. She literally backed away like she was afraid of me. And I was like, Nikki, what's wrong? Then when I moved towards her, she moved away from me. And I was like, oh my gosh, what's happening? So then she started running around the house like in a panic. And then she ran into the balcony and she pooped. Like like children who are so afraid they poop. Yeah. So she just pooped. And she still like kept looking at me like, don't come near me, don't come near me,
Oh, wow.
And she was barking at me. She wasn't yodeling, she was barking at me. And I noticed that her eyes were kind of like above me, not looking directly at me. It was as if I was not there. But she was looking at something else and reacting to this something else around me.
Yeah.
So at that point, I still didn't know what was happening. So I thought she was ill because she pooped. I thought, oh no, like what's happening to her? Is she sick or something? I called the vet immediately. The vet said, you want me to do a house call because the clinic is closed already? Then I said, yes, do a house call. Then he said, it's gonna be expensive. I said, it's fine because she's behaving like a mad dog, I said. Then he said, okay, let me call you back to tell you like what time I can be there and all that. So I said, fine. And then between the time that the vet called me back, it just hit me, because when I looked at her, she didn't seem ill. When animals are ill, they will not be so energetic. She was totally hyped up. And she was fine. Her movements were all fine. You could see that there was nothing physically wrong with her. Then I said, crap, don't think she's physically sick. I think she's seeing something. She's reacting to something that's supernatural and spiritual. So I quickly called the vet and I said, hey, doctor, I don't think my dog is sick. If anything, I'll call you back. I said, I'll cancel this. And he said, are you sure? I said, yeah. So I hung up. Then I just went on my knees and I started praying. My mother gave me this crucifix with a little prayer that says a prayer before the crucifix. So I just went to dig. Okay, back then I was not a practicing Catholic, okay? So I couldn't even find that crucifix. I just like go and dig like, where did I hide that thing? And when I found it, I was so grateful. I went on my knees and I just prayed. And then I kept saying, whatever you are, whoever you are, you do not belong here. This is my home. Leave now in the name of Jesus, and invoke the name of Jesus. And I just kept saying it over and over and over. And then my dog just calmed down. After a while, she just went very quiet. And then she just sat next to me. I was like, gosh, it's really a encounter,
Yeah.
I mean, okay, at all that time, I didn't feel anything. I didn't have like goosebumps, nothing. I just visually saw her reaction, and I just had that realization.
Yeah.
So after that, I had to shower, right? Because actually I was so sweaty and dirty. So I went to take a shower, and my dog would never follow me into the bathroom normally. She followed me, she wouldn't leave my side, and she just sat next to the shower stall, very quietly curled up. It's like, wow, she's never done that before. So I was like, okay, I'm going to take my shower. Like, I was going to go to my mom's place to have dinner, quickly shower and all that. Then I was about to leave, and she looked so sad when I was going to leave, but I had to leave her, right? Like, I mean, I could have brought her to my mom's, but I didn't. Yeah. So she was fine. She just sat and looked at the door closing, and that was that. So the next day, I went for mass, and I brought this bottle of water to get it blessed so that I could bless my house. And the priest said, wow, very big bottle. Then I told him what happened. Then he said, oh my goodness, what did you bring back? He said, from your run. I said, I don't know, but I really think I did bring something back. Yeah. So he said, it's okay, you're fine. And just bless the house lah,
Yeah.
Yeah. So I did that when I came home. I did that, and it never happened again. Yeah.
Okay. Did you were you experiencing anything like low vibration at that time in your life? Stress at work, family, anything?
As a matter
Sorry, I
of
can't
fact,
hear you. You were
I
cut
was
off.
I was in like I was in really good physical form at the time. Actually,
Okay.
yeah. Work was going fine. No, nothing. So
Emotionally.
I was not in a relationship at the time. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know.
Mm.
Yeah. I
Mm.
mean, I did run at a I did run where a Japanese cemetery is.
Oh, what time did you
So
run?
evening.
Twilight.
Yeah. 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 By the time I
Twilight.
got back, it was about almost 7. Yeah.
Twilight usually is the time. Is it in
Yeah.
between, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Oh, okay.
usually,
I don't know that for a
yeah.
fact.
So
Yeah.
twilight,
Oh.
especially in the evening when the sun goes down, right? And yeah, it's during this time that is like I mean, even people with mental illness, like people with dementia, Alzheimer's, the sundowning, right? When the sun goes down, the twilight.
You told me that. Yeah.
So that's also the time where things just go crazy.
Oh.
Yeah. But it's different in the morning. Dawn is morning because then it gets brighter, gets lighter and lighter in the sky. So the energy is very different. But then when it's twilight, it's always like that. Even children, when they are very sensitive, they go to certain places. During twilight, oh my God, they'll scream and they'll cry and nothing appeases them until you bring them home.
Oh.
Yeah.
Is it so is it because of the lights or the lack thereof, or is it because of
I think
things
it's
happening during that time?
I think during twilight is also when there are I feel, okay, this is whether it's based on truth, I have no idea, but my sense and my own experience in all of this is almost like the gate opens and the energy just gets chaotic. Yeah.
And does it continue throughout the night?
Sometimes it does.
Okay.
It also depends on the alignment of the planets, and also whether it's a full moon, a new moon. So a lot of factors, can come into play. Yeah. So it's very interesting. Because I mean, you can go and run on the same stretch on another night and nothing can happen, right?
Right.
But yeah,
Right.
so it really depends on your own energy, the planetary alignment, the full moon, whatever, like so many factors come into play, and sometimes they all seem to be happening all at once, and then something happens or something shifts. Yeah,
Right. Oh my
yeah,
gosh.
yeah,
Yikes. But people mostly run at that time.
yeah, they do.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's okay to run at a time, just go to a different place. Don't go around those area. Like I walk along the beach a lot. And certain times, I'm so familiar, right, with the route, like on the beach, I'll walk. But certain times, I feel very uncomfortable. Then I check, like, oh, what's what is the cosmic weather? What's going on?
Oh.
Because that something
Oh.
shifts.
Okay. Okay.
But there's certain times when it's very comfortable.
Okay.
Um, yeah, I remember one particular evening. I just felt really uneasy. It's not, I felt like I was moving through this force. It was not an easy walk. And usually, I mean, how difficult can a walk be, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
walking,
Yeah.
a very difficult walk. I felt like something
Mm.
was pulling me back, that kind of very heavy energy. So I checked
Mm.
later on, and it was some alignment that's also my own. If I compare my own astro chart and the planet, so all that, just yeah, just because
Was there like
there was
something that
something heavy.
indicated?
Yeah, there was
Okay.
some heavy energy. Not necessarily spooky things, not necessarily
Mm. Mm.
hauntings,
Mm.
but
Mm.
just energetically. And
Mm.
then
Mm.
it just hits, at
Mm.
twilight.
Right.
And sometimes that happens. Uh,
Right.
and some days where you feel so aligned, and when you walk, it's like, oh, energizing. You feel like you can run, sort
Mm.
of a thing.
Mm.
So it's really highly dependent on what's the mix of energy as well. Yeah. But I think
Okay.
in your case, it is definitely some entity, or else your dog is not gonna react,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
It was so obvious that she was seeing something that I couldn't see.
Yeah.
Um, and she after that she never reacted like that ever again. And of
Mm.
course, when I told this to my family, and they said, "You went to run like next to the cemetery, like, of course lah." Are you an idiot or? I said, "Hey, I was more scared of humans. Okay, actually,
Yeah.
I didn't think of supernatural things, to be honest. When I was
Yeah.
running, I was like thinking of, hey, what if I get dragged in?
Yeah.
It's actually that made me run like really fast, very fast, actually, faster than I normally do. Yeah, because it was quite creepy in that way, lah, in a
Yeah.
human way. Yeah,
Yeah.
but little did I realize something else.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Wow.
yeah. And
Wow.
actually, now that you asked me that question, I remember another incident. This was in Japan, in a hotel. I was on a press trip, and in this particular hotel room, I just felt very depressed.
Mm.
I could not explain why. I just felt so, like, just so awful, and I couldn't sleep. So I went into the toilet, and I closed the door, and I sat on the toilet seat. I closed the lid, and I just sat there for quite a while, maybe half an hour, and then that feeling lifted. I really felt so awful that almost to the point where, like, okay, I didn't want to hurl myself out of the window. I couldn't anyway because there were no windows. It's all completely sealed up. But it's that feeling, no, like something was suggesting something to me, like the thought actually popped into my head. Yeah,
Mm,
yeah, that
yeah,
was quite scary. Yeah,
yeah.
but the next day it was okay, and I didn't ask for a room
Okay,
change. Yeah,
okay.
so I don't know what that was actually,
Yeah,
to be honest. Yeah,
yeah. Very mysterious.
yeah.
But it could be like, you know, I mean, because of the work that I do, right? I do encounter these sort of things. So sometimes the places that people go to,
Mm,
um, let's say someone was depressed and, jump off the
mhm.
building or something, they leave an energy imprint in the room. So it's like a poltergeist. Like it just keeps replaying. It's like a broken record. It keeps replaying over and over again. And if energetically you were feeling low at that point, then it's gonna hit you. Or
Right,
again, the cosmic weather, right? Depending
right,
on what's
right,
happening during that
right.
time, then it can hit you.
Okay.
So yeah, it's very, I mean, these sort of things do exist. I do energy clearing for people who have this kind of experiences, and the stories I hear sometimes it's quite sad because it's a combination. Um, when I have clients like, especially when they're overseas, right, and I'm not there, but they describe to me the sleeping hour, what their experiences are. A lot of it is like they feel intense pain in their private parts. And these are people in different parts of the world. I mean, they're not even, I don't think they're friends even, but they would, like before I do a session, right, with them, and I would ask them like, okay, describe to me what some of your experiences, and almost identical where they talk about pain in their private parts. It's like when they're sleeping, something happens, like they're being tortured, and it becomes a physical
Oh my
pain,
God.
and on top of that, they are usually also not mentally well, so they become very easy victims. And when you're not well mentally, firstly, you go to a mental hospital, and then when you describe the pain, no one is going to believe you because they're going to think it's your imagination or it's your mental illness,
Yeah.
doing this. So, and, out of desperation, like they found me like through the internet, and they just, I need help, I really, really need help. And so I would do the energy clearing for them, and then I would record the session, and I tell them to play the recording like every night before going to bed, just listen to it over and over again, like at least for 21 days. For some of them, it has given them relief. But others, depending on where they are, right, on the spectrum of mental illness, sometimes they tip on the other side and it just gets worse. So I think the two, like the supernatural and um our emotional mental well-being, the two do go hand in hand sometimes, depending. And sometimes when a person is weaker mentally, they tend to be far more susceptible.
Mm.
And you know I mean, when we talk about supernatural stuff, it's not just spooky, right? I mean, supernatural can also be very nice,
Mhm.
wonderful, angelic
Yeah,
energies, and
yeah,
that's also supernatural. And
yeah.
the thing is, when you talk about these sort of things openly, people are not so. They'll look at you funny. Firstly, they'll go like, "Okay, there's something wrong with you," But these sort of things, they do happen. They do exist, and and I think it happens to everyone. It's just that some people are more aware than
Mm,
others.
mm.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
And so you're saying that your clients feel it on an ongoing basis.
yeah. Can you imagine for them,
Like, oh
the
wow.
torture is very real.
So
So,
it happened at one place and then it just continues even after that.
yeah,
Is that what you're
like
saying?
it builds over time. So, okay. Some of them, their family send them to mental hospital, so they get admitted. the problem is when you go in a mental hospital, you tend to attract even more of these sort of energies, and you may just bring them back unknowingly, which then just makes it worse.
My gosh, no win situation.
Yeah, it is very tough. So
Oh,
actually, for people who are, mentally unwell, and then they experience this, they do need very, very close supervision, someone to help them with the discipline, because they do need discipline to really do their normal everyday rituals like eat properly, have your shower, say your prayers, or meditate, or whatever, right? That makes them feel aligned,
yeah,
exercise. They need
yeah,
to have that kind of life discipline, because if they don't, it's very easy for them to just fall,
right,
and then everything just spiral out,
right,
you
right.
know.
Routine,
And
they need routine,
they
right?
do need a routine, and it really helps. And so they do need close supervision. Unfortunately, most of them don't get the help that they need. And also, sometimes also the individual may feel like, oh, I can do this on my own. There's a lot of resistance to receiving help as well. And then what happens is, and I often tell my clients is, whether they have mental illness or not, I often tell them this: if you got into the situation that you're in and you're feeling low, you're not feeling good about yourself, and you went in with that kind of mindset, how are you going to use that same mindset to get out? You can't do it on your own. You do need help, right? Plus,
Mm,
you can't see what you can't see. you
yeah,
you don't know what you don't know,
yeah.
so that sort of a thing. And so, you know as much as I always tell people I help my clients with their emotional well-being, there's always this very thin line, right, that we will cross over to the other end of the spectrum, where there'll be all these energies that will come in to interfere, because the more mentally ill a person is, the more susceptible they are. Yeah.
Mm,
And if they have a faith, that's good. If they don't have one, it is a little bit more challenging.
mm,
Yeah.
mm,
But it also depends on the faith. Sometimes people also fall into the category of like superstition, right?
mm,
Then they put so much power in the superstition, which then doesn't help. It just makes things worse, and yeah, it's just quite challenging sometimes.
mm, mm.
And ultimately is, you know, I've hear enough cases of people where they have, or they can go the other way, right? They have so much faith that they decide not to continue to take their medication.
Mm.
Then that just makes it worse. They will just have, all kinds of funny
Yeah.
reaction. And we do need some structure, to get back on track. And then from there, you can, when you are better with the structure, then you can try and let go of certain things that you feel you no longer need. But to start, you definitely need the structure, right?
Mm, mm.
So
Yeah.
yeah, it's quite interesting, this whole other world.
Yes. Yes. This realm, right?
Yeah.
Do you think that people who on a regular basis are able to see and feel, like you say, they're more sensitive? Um, what does that indicate about them? Is there something about them?
Um, well, I feel if they can see, or because I can see and I can feel, but it does not. I think just, it's like a sense, right? Some of us have a keener sense of smell, some of us have better
Uh,
hearing, and it's the
uh,
same with this. And I also feel that people who went through difficulty growing up, for example, emotional abuse, or shut down, or their nervous system is like fight or flight, right? They have that kind of nervous system. They tend to be more sensitive. The highly, it's almost like they're so tuned into danger, because they need to protect themselves, right? They're so tuned into danger that they are so heightened that these sort of things become visible to them as well. And if they don't work on their own trauma or their own inner issues, right, then these things can haunt them. Like if they can't get it together, then they will become victims of these energies or their own sensitivity. They can become victims of that. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, there are people who are very sensitive, is just different, just wired differently, not or bad, just different.
Okay. I have quite a few friends who can see, and well, if you can see, you don't even need to feel lah. Can see already is like whoa, right? Yeah. So they even see in church. Yeah. So that always surprises me because like dumb that I am, I'm thinking like, oh, it's church. Like, how can it be? Yeah. But they tell me no, it's a lot, and they were just lost and wandering around. And so sometimes when they want to go to the toilet, they'll say, "Hey, can someone go with me?" And I'm like, "Are you like 5 years old, or are we like in high school? We have to go toilet together?" Then they said, "No lah, got Momo." I said, "Class, it's church, come on." Then they're like, "No, like trust us." I was like, whatever, yeah. So I always find it so weird. So this particular friend, she said it was one time this entity was following her around church, and she was literally trying to avoid it. And the only place that it didn't follow her into was the adoration room, because the Blessed Sacrament was there. Yeah, so she went in there and it was outside. She could sense that it was outside hovering. So she sat in there and she was like, "Oh no, this place closes at 11. So at some point, I'm going to have to run out and like run for Dodge or whatever." Yeah, so I don't know what happened after that. She said that by the time she left, it wasn't there anymore. Yeah. I was like, so scary. So dramatic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I once went to Malaysia to teach a class on psychic self-defense, and I booked into this hotel, and oh my God, this hotel was pretty. It's like a holiday resort kind of style, like apartment style. And the minute I stepped in, the whole energy of the place was very weird, and it was pretty uncomfortable. But the price was really good, and then it was also it's like a living room, and then there's a bedroom, right? And I needed the living room to run the class, and there was a kitchen as well, so it was very easy. But so, like people came, like we had dinner and all that. Then after that, they left. Then, my class was the next day, right? And it was just, I kept, getting woken up a lot. And I would be in this half sleep, half wake state, right? And I would see things like there would be, like before I go to the bathroom, I would be in that state, almost like a dream, and I'm paralyzed, right? When you're in that state, you're paralyzed, but you can see millions of cockroaches all over the bathroom, right? And then I would like force myself to move and wake up. And when I did, I was like, okay, I can feel them like locked into some energy, and then go to the toilet. And there's this like gray, almost like a gray filter over the entire place kind of energy. It's very heavy. And I kept doing, clear the space. I would light incense. I would play like spiritual songs. I would pray and meditate and try and, just relax and go to sleep despite it all. I know nothing is going to harm me. Nothing can touch me in that sense, because they're not physical, so they can't harm me physically. But it was very disturbing in terms of like energy wise. Like it disturbs my sleep. I don't feel grounded. I was just like so much going on, right? So it was a very long night. And by the time I got to sleep, I think it was like dawn, right? The sun was coming up already, and then things just start to settle, quiet down. And then I managed to like catch maybe 1 hour, because then my class was starting. I needed to start class again. So, that was a very good story to share with
Yeah.
everybody. Because they also felt it
Oh.
before they left, right? These students, they felt something, and they asked me whether I wanted to leave the night before, and I said, no, it's okay lah. I'll just stay, because it's just too much trouble. And I mean, if you would ask me on hindsight, would I change my mind? I said, no lah, I'll just go with it lah. It's anyway, it was a good topic, psychic self-defense. I was doing the class anyway on the topic, so it was
And
real
very
life.
good content. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was very good in that sense. But of course, I never
Yeah.
went back. And apparently, I heard it was it back then, before it became like service apartment or hotel apartments, right? It was actually um very popular with expats, because it's kind of like in the woods kind of thing. It was very green,
Okay.
a very
Right.
nice area, almost like black and white houses kind of thing. But it was quite deserted. Not many people stayed there, and I don't think even front desk there was anyone really working there. Just people with apartments with a key to go in, that sort of a thing. And so it was okay. I think I stayed there. I think I may have just stayed there for one night. The next night I went somewhere else, and then that was okay. So that was a very interesting experience. But it was very heavy energy, and a lot of interference. And I think, oh yeah, there was now that I remember, there was like, again, like a half dream, half wake state. A dream where there was a bunch of women covered up, and they were chanting, and it sounded off. It's not like spiritual, religious, not chanting in a higher order, like chanting of a lower
Right.
vibrational kind of
Right.
thing. And
Oh.
like, then I told them to shut up, go away, leave me alone. Yeah,
Wow.
it was quite bizarre.
But do you know what like, if anything happened there before?
Possibly like people attempting to do black magic stuff. There was a lot of like, it's quite dark, black magic stuff. It's very
Okay.
lower vibrational kind of energy. So they would use things, um, use like cockroaches. The vibration of a cockroach is not as it's not as high as, let's say, a butterfly, right? A
Okay.
butterfly, I mean, when
Then,
you look at it, it's a high
yeah.
vibrational insect. Whereas
Mm.
when you look at a cockroach, it's not, right? It's very low vibration. Yeah.
Sewer creature.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they would use these sort of things, whatever black magic. I don't know. Maybe they were trying to drive out the hotel. They wanted to sell the land or whatever. I don't know. But
Sounds like
chances,
a movie.
I know, right? Yeah. So it was. I can't even remember the name of the place. This was pretty long time, more than 20 years already. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Speaking of black magic, this was actually around the same time as when I had that jogging experience. I had a helper back then, an Indonesian helper. So every Saturday, she would go to my mother's place and just hang out there with my mom's helper. Yeah. And then just extra help for my mom, right? So anyway, to cut a long story short, I had to repatriate her in the end because she fell ill and she refused to take her medication. Even though I brought her to the specialist, spent a lot of money. She kept telling me that her ex-husband was doing black magic on her. But the doctor had diagnosed her, categorically as having this illness, and but she didn't believe. So she never took her medication, so she never got well. So in the end, I had to send her back. So after she went back,